All right, Dave, you can phone her back and tell her we'll call her when we're airborne and find out where she is. All right. All right, and power's on the way over? Lovely. All right, cheers for that. Bye. One bloke injured on a walking track. That's Laguna Pinch. She's near the track area.
Okay. She's not with them?
No, she's walked for an hour out to get to where to get signals. So I'm going to get her. She'll stay there. We'll go and find her. Rutherford 267. He's going to be an hour and a half before he's there, so we'll be first on scene.
Okay.
So
The boys nearly got to eat their lunch.
Yeah, we'll do that. We're going back to the Barrington Tops again, funny old thing. The weather doesn't look too bad this time, and we know what it's like up there. And there's a report of a walker who's actually fallen on a pretty inaccessible track. And the initial report of the person who's actually walked out, she's actually walked an hour and a half, or probably 5 or 6 kilometres out of the bush to raise the alarm. So it's really going to be hit and miss as to whether we find them first time. We may actually have to find her and then try and find out where the injured person is, because we don't really know what's on the scene.
So that's that big valley that runs up. Yep. That's Rocky Crossing, and here's Laguna Pinch. That's what they call the actual high spot.
Mark, Angel 2's pilot, has been to Rocky Crossing before, and he suspects it's going to be hard for them to get someone on the ground.
We'll go to Barrington Guest House.
Barrington Guest House?
And then try and call her. It's in the gorge. There's a couple of places like Winch in there.
Yeah. Mate, further up the valley is very rugged stuff.
There's some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Our ambulance flight paramedics are Scotty and Rumbo on this mission, and it's back to the Barrington Tops. This time, it'll be a winch in for sure.
Over the fence. Thank goodness. Heavy. There we go.
We're on our way back to the Barrington Tops wilderness area to rescue an injured bushwalker, and the challenges exist already. With communications to the original caller down and them on the move, we're going to have a tough time finding their exact location.
We're not able to ring or contact the ringback number at 5 kilometres in the bush from the Lagoon Pinch picnic area. Give us about an hour on scene with the fuel. Can I have a look at that map again? Sorry, that other one.
It's very, very popular with all bushwalkers, and we won't know till we get there if this person's on one of the walking tracks, or maybe down in one of the gullies, or walking on the streams. It's very much up in the air, and until we actually arrive on scene, we have no idea as to the full extent of the mission we're going to do.
That's tiger country where that river runs down bottom there, isn't it? Certainly is. There's only a couple of areas you can winch in there, so we're actually got a long enough winch.
Well, the woman who raised the alarm has obviously started to make her way back up, so what we're going to try and do is find an area where there are some people and maybe put one of the rescue crewmen down there to see if they can get some information, because there's no point us flying around for the next hour looking, because it's too big an area and we haven't got the fuel for that. And at the moment, the way the mission is working is, not knowing where this chap is, we could actually end up pretty short on fuel.
Nathan, just go into the doorway and have a look keep an eye on the right-hand side. Okay, I'm going on harness. Heaps of places to land. Oh, we can find somewhere nowhere near there. There's people underneath. People underneath there. There's absolutely no one there making any effort to sort of identify themselves. Back along that track, there was just the one red four-wheel drive. He's got a map with him, looks like. Can you read it? Yeah, can you? He's asking if he wants to go somewhere. Do you want to put someone down here just so we can find out what's going on? Yeah. Or put Nathan in, eh? If not, you up in the back, Pete.
We'll put Nathan into the area now. We found what we think is the woman who reported the incident, and she's quite near one of the sort of the rest areas. It's a very covered area on a small ridgeline, and we'll try and put Nathan onto the ridgeline to actually talk to this girl to find out what's going on. But my concern at the moment is that there's no wind here at all, and there's going to be a 150-foot winch plus, and we're a very hot day, so I'm not sure we'll be able to do it.
Doors coming back, going hot mic.
In the 30-degree temperatures, no wind and a belly full of fuel, the aircraft is struggling to hover for Mike.
Okay, rolling off, yeah.
The helicopter has to be rolled off with forward motion so that the aircraft has enough power so it can stay in the air.
Too heavy there? Yeah, fair enough. So looking at that track, do we map? Yeah, let's have a look at the track and see if I can just There's no real wind here.
With trees well over 30 metres high, Mike has to be able to hold Angel 1 very steady before he will risk sending any of the boys down that cable and through those trees.
If we're going to do an approach, especially to tops of hills or on ridges, I like to ensure that the rest of the crew understand what my procedure is going to be in the event of some form of malfunction, be it an emergency in the aircraft or simple fact that we haven't got the power to make the approach. And what we're doing is that because of the way we're approaching the ridge, once we're over the top of the area, the escape route is going to be to the right. And the reason it's to the right is it means that I can actually dive the aircraft down the side of the hill into the gully because it gives me a chance to actually get some speed on.
I reckon if we can get it just beyond this tree here. Just beyond these trees? Yeah, just this little gap here. Yeah, happy with that? Yep. Okay. Power is high, but as long as it's a short winch, we're all right.
The problem with a hoist such as this is you might find that you've got a nice little open hole, but when you bring the aircraft down to a nice hoisted height, the trees, as you can see, start blowing over that little hole. You've got to move forward or move back and try and find a greater opening of that hole.
Forward 10, 100%. Okay. Forward 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Directly over the area.
Well, you have some trepidation coming out of the aircraft. Being scared of heights doesn't help either. But you've got complete faith. You've got Pete on the winch. He's been on it for years, knows what he's doing. Mike's flying. If you didn't have confidence in him, you wouldn't be here. So we run through this at training, and this is just a further progression of that training. So you step out, they do their job, you do yours, and hopefully you hit the deck all in one piece.
Clear to hoist. And you're clear to winch. Okay, and hoisting. Move right 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold.
Yeah, at this height, looking at about 140 feet, which is a pretty high winch. That just gives you an idea of the terrain that's around here and the height of the trees.
Okay, we'll stand below the skids. No swing, no spin.
You start to get pushed around as soon as you get out of the aircraft. You can't hear your mate. You can't hear anyone else's voices. As soon as you get close to the trees, you can hear the trees slapping against your suit and your helmet. You get used to that pretty quickly.
There's no breeze blowing at the moment, so there's no sort of breeze to keep us up in the air. It's hot. The aircraft's working at its maximum level at the moment, and we've got to try and get this winch done as soon as possible.
20 off the ground, no swing, no spin. Height's good, well above the trees. 5 off the ground, 4, 3, 2, 1, and weight's coming off, on the ground.
The boys are safe on the ground now. All they need to do is find out exactly where the patient is, be winched back into the aircraft. We'll then locate him, rescue him, all before we run out of time and fuel, we hope.
And you're clear to come up and move off. Good height.
Angel 1's crew has been flying over the heavily timbered Barrington Tops wilderness area for over an hour, trying to find a party of bushwalkers, which has one member badly injured. With no mobile phone coverage of the area, it's been impossible to gain information on their exact location.
What we're looking at is tiger country up here, mate. Pretty horrific to be able to get in and out of. There's only a couple of four-wheel drive tracks that they've ended miles back from where we are. And now it's just a walking area, plenty of thick bush, plenty of scrub. The only way in, only way out is the winch.
Follow the ridge line up.
We've already winched 2 of the crew down to another group of walkers, and they told us that they believe the people in trouble are further up the mountain and are carrying their injured friend out of the bush to a track called the Corker.
Mike got the survivor sighted right 9 o'clock, about 100 metres, and if you keep coming around to your right and just confirm that you have them sighted.
We've finally found them, but we've used up a lot of our fuel doing so. That's good in a way because it'll make us lighter, but on the downside, we may not have enough fuel to get us home.
Probably that man, just give them a signal to see if you get a thumbs up from them.
According to reports, our patient has a broken shoulder, so Rumbo will drop in to render medical assistance while Nathan sets up the stretcher, ready to winch our patient back up. But in the cockpit, Mike has more than just the patient on his mind.
This is going to be more interesting. We're up another 1,000 feet higher, and again, there's still no wind, and the tops of the trees here around about probably 100, 120 feet. So I think from the point of view of weight, it's going to be not that easy, but I think from Pete's point of view, it's not going to be that easy either, because the track is not, there aren't very many open areas, so getting the people down through the trees and getting the stretcher back up again is going to get Pete doing his job properly.
3, 2, 1, and directly over the site. and have the paramedic crewman out on the skid. It's good, height's good.
We look forward to winches. Obviously, there's a lot of risk involved, but winching for us is like the prime sort of role that we play.
Okay, and hoisting, leaving the skid.
The people are in a bad situation to be winched, so we've just got to get down there and do the job. Most of the time we don't think about it as we're going out the door. We're pretty professional about how we go about it all. We've got total trust in people above us.
Position's good, height's good.
Once you start getting winched out, you're usually looking down, checking your area still, making sure you don't get into a spin, and checking up, making sure the aircrew, how he's going, is going to give you signals if you have any dramas at all, and on him and the ground. If you're in a confined area, trees and everything splashes into the back of your head. The winches are very exciting.
Waiting for him to disconnect. Tail's clear.
While the boys are on the ground to render a little care and maybe some plane management, our brave crew and Cookie are flying around looking for somewhere to land and hopefully save some of that vital fuel.
Good. Directly over survivor.
The boys have been flying around in the sweltering heat, and now it's time to give one of these bushwalkers a lift he didn't expect this weekend.
Top, but still well clear.
From my point of view, in the front, all I'm trying to do is hold a hold position, and the amount of movement of the trees doesn't really affect me in the sense that as much as it will do Pete, who's trying to people up through the tree tops themselves. My biggest concern is of us actually knocking down the tops of the trees, breaking off dead branches, and people below being injured by debris.
Over the top of the trees.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. We try and get as big a hole as possible. That is difficult sometimes because the trees do bend and blow over that hole and cover it up.
Directly over survivor, and I have the thumbs up. Clear to come up, take the weight.
As you start to leave the ground, you're hoping that the winch isn't going to, or the basket isn't going to spin too much coming up.
And no swing, no spin.
You look down at your patient and you think, well, he's nice and safe, he's lying in the basket and you're hanging on the side.
Good, well clear of the trees.
It's going to be a fairly slow winch, you know that, trying to keep everything stable, not to move the patient and yourself around too much. Mike's going to be fairly well focused up the top, trying to keep the aircraft as steady as possible, but it seems like an eternity going up the wire.
Position's good, height's good.
Once you punch through the trees, there's a fair bit of relief there that your patient isn't going to get smacked and you're not going to get smacked going through the trees. It is a couple of 100 feet you're going up. Once you're making sure that your patient's okay, the look of terror on his face isn't too much as he's come up in the basket, but he seems pretty comfortable, so what we've done on the ground, pain relief-wise, seems to be working quite well. We're now just looking to get into that aircraft.
For a man scared of heights, Rumbo has chosen a mean profession. Mike, on the other hand, isn't bothered by heights, but he still has plenty on his mind.
And the skid.
Getting a bit concerned about the fuel at the moment, down to £800. I'm going to call the 407 to come up from the base and bring in the fuel pump, but I'll talk to paramedics that they take the patient back because they'll have the fuel to do it, and then they've been prepared. We'll just transfer him from our aircraft into the 407 and he can go back while we refuel the 412.
The service has emergency fuel stored at nearby Barrington Guest House, so it's a perfect spot for us to meet Angel 2. Our guys do the fun work and they can take the glory. Even though a winch is tedious work, the crews relish every challenge. Michael has a broken upper arm and shoulder after falling while trying to cross the river. He tried to walk out of the bush, but the pain was simply too much to bear.
Slipped on a rock and fell with my backpack on, and my arm bent backwards. The bone sort of sticking out, which is quite painful.
He was in the middle of nowhere.
When we heard the chopper coming, a really distinctive sound, and very excited. I was looking forward to it. I could still feel the pain. I wanted it to be sorted out.
Beautiful. Well done. It's going. Comfortable? More comfortable than I will.
Slipped over crossing the creek. It's actually the Williams River headwaters.
A bit of water in the creek, or?
Yeah, there's a lot.
We've now got to refuel the aircraft, and we actually at Barrington have a storage of fuel. We've got 2 aviation drums, 200 litres each, which we will use up one of those drums now just to get us back to the base. While we're doing that, the 407 will fly the patient home, and that'll actually speed things up a little bit because he'll be back before we finish refueling. It's quite important to actually keep the fuel drums around the place. We've got stores of fuel in about 5 locations around the Hunter region. We've had a very busy day, and hopefully when we get back we'll have a rest for a bit, or if we don't, we'll be calling our spare crews in.
boys are back in the air and online for more work.